Working. It always takes YouTube a second. All right, I think we should be okay. And hopefully, come on YouTube now. All right, I think we should be going. Post a comment if you can see this, and yeah, we should be okay. All right, I think we are working. I am Drew Badger, the founder of EnglishAnyone.com and the English Fluency Guide. Welcome to another live video here on YouTube. Today, I want to do something different. I spend a lot of time in my videos explaining about how people get fluent, and I really just want to show you an example of this. Most learners think that you spend a lot of time learning new vocabulary, and that's how you get fluent, but actually, knowing a lot of words doesn't help you speak better if you don't really know that vocabulary well. So the purpose of this video is just to demonstrate that, number one, we get fluent by focusing on things and understanding them really well, and number two, we really want to take time and just understand something by getting lots of review of that thing. So these two ideas, hopefully they make sense. So I'm calling this Fluent in 15, and we'll see if people enjoy this, and I will make more of these. But instead of doing a video talking about a wide range of things, I'm just going to focus on my hand for about maybe 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm doing this live because I want people to ask me questions if there's anything they don't understand. So remember the whole point about developing fluency, this comes from removing doubt. So if we have concerns or questions or anything about particular vocabulary, that's going to stop us from speaking. So as I go through this, you don't need to worry about saying anything or repeat after me or anything. I'm going to repeat vocabulary and teach you a lot of vocabulary, but just focusing on my hand. So this is, I've done similar videos, I guess, in the past, but I thought maybe this would be an interesting just thing to focus on for this one. So again, the basic idea about fluency, number one, we want to focus on something. So that could be focusing on a grammar point or a particular kind of vocabulary or a topic or something. But then we want to review it in slightly different ways. We don't want to just repeat the vocabulary. We want to review it in different ways. And when you do this, you will understand the language better. This will give you more confidence, and that's when you start speaking. All right? So let's get started. I'll get started with something very simple. So this is my hand. This is my hand. This is the, you could maybe say the front of my hand, or this is the palm of my hand. I'll write that up here for you, P-A-L-M. The subtitles are not available right when the video starts, but they should be available tomorrow. So if you come back, you can listen. I usually speak very clearly, and the subtitles should be very clear so you can follow what I'm saying and read those if you need to. So this is the palm. You can also call this the front of my hand, and this is the back of my hand. So let's just look at a few parts of my hand, and I'll keep this very simple. So I have 5 fingers. Some people say I have 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers and 1 thumb. So 4 fingers and a thumb. Remember, this is the back of my hand, and this is the front of my hand, or this is my palm. The palm really is kind of talking about this part, but anything up here, this is the front of my hand, the front of my hand. Now I have, again, my 4 fingers. I can bend my fingers like this. I can bend. And this is an opposable thumb. So opposable meaning I can grip something from the side like this. I can move my thumb around in different ways. An opposable thumb. So some animals do not have this, and that's why they can't kind of hold something. Like if you look at a dog or a cat, their foot looks like this. They don't have that extra thumb that they can use to grip and hold things. So when I grip something like this, I'm holding something like that. To hold something, I can hold it tightly. So tight, a tight hold, or a loose hold. I'm holding something loosely in my hand. So let's look very carefully again. We've got, again, the back of my hand here, and then I have different places here. These are called my joints, the joints of my fingers. Now, a joint is a very interesting word. A joint is really a connection between two things, where two things join each other. So you could have joints, just like I have joints on my finger here, and these joints specifically right here, you can see on my finger there's 1, 2, 3 that allows me to bend my fingers, and these are my knuckles. So a knuckle joint allows you to move your fingers like this. In a machine, a knuckle joint works in the same way. Usually you have some kind of machine thing like this, and there's a pole or something that goes down this so you can move between these things, so the two pieces can move back and forth. So I have 1, 2, 3 knuckles for each finger. All right, the 3 knuckles. I don't want to get into too much detail about that, but interestingly, so this is the kind of vocabulary you can use when people talk about hurting their knuckles or cracking your knuckles. Maybe you've heard, maybe if you, I'm just 44 years old now, so you can hear my knuckles crack a little bit. They're not actually pretty good today, but if you listen carefully, I'm cracking my knuckles. To crack my knuckles, or if people, before they play the piano or do some kind of instrument, something like that, they're cracking their knuckles. So I have my knuckle joint, and I thought I would tell you about a weapon for using this. So usually it kind of looks like this. It's for, maybe you've seen something like this. This is a special weapon that you put around your fingers, and this is called a brass. So brass knuckles. Brass is just a kind of angel. Brass is just a kind of metal. So you could make a brass knuckles out of anything. But this is a hard thing you can put around your finger. You should just Google this to see a picture of it. But it allows you to punch people, and it's kind of protecting your hand, but really hurting someone at the same time. Brass knuckles. So we call this brass knuckles because it goes around your knuckles. Goes around your knuckles. Now, if we look at the inside of my hand, so the front or the inside of my hand again, if you look closely, I've got some calluses. These are called calluses. And right here in the middle, usually the skin gets a bit rough. Look at that. They get pretty rough. So I use it like an exercise bar, a horizontal, so not a vertical. So vertical. A vertical bar goes up and down, but a horizontal bar, like the horizon for the sun, goes left and right like this. So I have a horizontal pull-up bar, but it gives me calluses on my hand, a callus. A callus. Do you have calluses on your hand or anything else? So sometimes my hands, if you feel them, my wife was saying my hands are a bit rough. Right here, so not smooth. So down here, on the palm, or you can even say this is the heel of my hand here, just like the heel of my foot, like the ball of my foot. You have the heel of your hand. It's the same spelling, H-E-E-L, the heel of your hand, the heel of your hand. So the heel of my hand is smooth, but up here, just below this first knuckle here, it's a bit rough. All right, so I have some calluses on my hand. They're not that bad, but I do have some calluses. Now, if we look at the other side, we can see my nails. We've got a couple of nails here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nails. I think my nails are, I don't know, I don't really take great care of my nails. I need to trim my nails, to cut my nails or to trim my nails, Do you think my nails are too long or too short? Or just right? So I think my nails are, they feel a little bit long. I really like to have very short nails. Even this feels a little bit long for me. All right, are these maybe too long or too short? So this is interesting. When you're looking at your nails like this, you can trim your nails. You can cut your nails, the same thing, just like you can trim your hair or cut your hair. Oh, Elizabeth says just right. Yes, I don't want to have long claws or something. It's hard. I use the computer a lot, so I want to keep my nails very short and clean, short and clean. All right, so pretty easy. So let's go back and review that. I'm going to say some of that a little bit faster, and then we'll talk about some other things. So this is my hand. This is my right hand. I'll also show you my left hand. If you're looking from your side, so this is the left hand over here, and this is the right hand over here. Remember, this is the back of my hand, back of my hand. An interesting phrase for this, sometimes parents would say, like, be careful or you'll feel the back of my hand. So to feel the back of someone's hand means like you're going to get hit. Like, oh, like sometimes a parent might hit a kid. People don't really do this so much anymore. Maybe it depends on the parents. But sometimes you would hit a child like this with the back of your hand. So rather than the front of your hand, you would hit them with a kind of a back slap like that. So we have the front of my hand, the back of my hand, the heel of my hand. I can press my heel down like that. And this is the palm of my hand. We'll talk a little bit more about the palm of my hand in a minute. I've got 4 fingers and a thumb, and my joints here, these are my knuckles, So I have 1, 2, 3 knuckles for each finger. That's why I can bend my fingers like this. And when I can bend my fingers, that allows me to hold things or to grip them, to grip something. So when I have a good grip, maybe I can't really grab onto this whiteboard here. I can't get a good grip on this thing. But if I can hold something, I can hold it tight like this, or you can say hold it tightly, to hold something tightly, or to hold on tight. You can use both hold and hold on. So I'm holding the marker, I'm holding on to the marker. Typically, when people talk about holding on to something, it might be like holding on to something bigger than me or something that might move away. So if I'm maybe holding my hat because the weather is very windy and the hat might blow away, so I'm holding on to my hat. But hold is just fine. Often natives will use these phrasal verbs to hold on to something when we're talking about just holding it, but it sounds a little bit more casual and conversational. So I've got my hand here, I've got my fingers and my nails, and looking at my palm again, if you look very closely at my palm, you should see some lines on here. So I talked about my calluses before. So I have a few calluses, usually the middle fingers, the middle 2 fingers over here have a little bit stronger or rougher or bigger or larger calluses because they are touching more on the bar. But here you can see a few lines, and many people, some people, they use these lines to try to tell your future. Have you ever heard of this? This is called palm reading. So to read your palm, to look at the finger lines here, or the little lines here. I don't know if I've never done palm reading before, but some people do, and so they can look at the lines on your finger and tell, well, this is the money line, and this is the life line, and this is something else. I don't know the particulars of it, but I do know people do this. So when people are talking about reading a palm, it's an interesting thing. They can look at your palm and try to tell your future. All right. So interesting things, just basic things with your hand, looking at your physical hand. But we also have many uses with the hand, and we use these, which also give us many additional phrases. So if we're talking about giving someone a hand, to give someone a hand, this can mean to help someone. So if maybe you have one person over here, they have their hand, and another person over here, they're reaching like this to say, give me a hand. So can you help me do something, to give me a hand? But it can also mean to give someone applause, like this, to applause someone. So when you are clapping for someone, if I am at a concert or a speech or something, and I'm giving someone a hand, it just means I'm clapping for that person. So this expression can refer to both of those, to give someone a hand, just like I'm helping someone. So, hey, could you give me a hand with something? You can ask your friend, even if they're not physically touching your hand. Maybe could you give me a hand and help me clean some things at my house? Or I am moving from one place to another. Could you give me a hand and help me do that thing? So even if you're not physically touching, we still get this idea of helping someone like that, to give someone a hand. Give someone a hand. All right, let me go back and check comments to see if anybody has any particular questions about this. But again, this very simple lesson is just to show you that if you hear things again and again in different ways, the point is to become very familiar with the language so you feel confident about talking about it. Like, what do specific body parts mean? Or what ways do we talk about body parts moving? Or how can we use different expressions when talking about things that maybe it's not the specific body part, but we can talk about something else. So the title of this video is actually Handy Expressions. And when we talk about something being handy, handy means helpful or useful. So this is a very handy lesson, but it's kind of a pun as well. So a pun, or what we call a dad joke. I guess I'm a dad now, so I can use dad jokes. But a pun is when we take a word like handy, but we also are talking about hands because this is a specific lesson about hands. So we can talk about two different things at the same time. Like, why are elephants always ready to travel? Why are elephants always ready to travel? So this is a riddle for kids, but it's a pun, and the answer is because an elephant has a trunk. So a trunk over here, the long nose of the elephant, trunk. So the trunk of an elephant is also the same spelling as a kind of box that you travel with, a trunk. All right. So when I talk about, oh, this is a very handy lesson, handy lesson, I've got my hand right here. All right, so let's go through and see if anybody has any questions about this. I'm going to go very quickly, say hello to everybody. Pardon me as I try to move quickly so I don't spend too much time. I can keep going right with the lesson, but it is nice to see everybody, and thank you very much for joining us. Paul says, please, my name is Paul. I have worries about spelling and speaking English. Please help me out. I am begging you. Well, that's what we do on the channel. So what we're talking about right now, hopefully if you like this kind of video, I can make more of these where we're focusing on a particular thing. But the point is to solve any kind of doubt or answer any questions you have that stop you from speaking. So probably the reason that you have trouble speaking is because you're worried about pronunciation, or like you're saying, spelling, or whatever the issue is. But if you can solve those issues, that's when you start speaking. So most lessons, they're going to teach you maybe some new vocabulary, but if you don't really feel confident about that vocabulary, you're not going to use it fluently. All right, let's see here. And Telesforo says, hello, teacher. I say hello, I guess from Philadelphia. Good luck to your class today from Mexico. Improve my English every day. Glad to hear. And Kaya says, this is my first time to see your online class. Welcome. And let's see, I'm trying to go very quickly through these. Augusta says, hello, teacher. I'm proud to hear you. I want you the best. Nice class, thanks. Knuckles to move on, says the Yevanel. Knuckles, your Knuckles over here. Lord says, finally, I watched one of your live classes. Welcome. And yes, George talking about some knuckle dust or whatever. I'm guessing that's talking about cocaine. George, you should know about that. Sufyan, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Let's see, I'm practicing again my English in order to enhance it. Yes, remember, practicing means getting the right kind of review. So if you don't understand something, you need to get examples of it until you do. That's the trick to building fluency. Hey, Drew, greetings from Honduras. And Lewis says, well, I am trimming my nails now. What a coincidence. Very good, Lewis. Yes, so you can trim your nails or cut them. Usually when we talk about trimming nails, trimming sometimes means just cutting a little bit, and cut can usually mean a longer thing. But usually nails are not that long, so you can talk about trimming or cutting, just like you're going for a haircut. But often if people go get a haircut, they say, oh, I just want to get a little trim. So that means maybe cut just a little bit of the hair, not like a long cut. We're going to cut a lot of the hair off. So it's not always like that, but often little nuances, natives will use the words differently. So sometimes they mean trim, you're trimming your nails a little bit, or you're trimming your hair a little bit, or if you want to cut, it's usually a longer or thicker thing. Abdo says, what name the things grow nearby nails like short skin? Those are called hangnails. So if you have, it's a good question, let me erase some of this. So it's a little bit difficult to see. I don't really have any hangnails, I think. I don't have the most beautiful nails. I don't really take good care of my nails. I don't like, maybe you've seen those little, it's called like an emery board. An emery board. This is what we use for maybe polishing your nails. So people want to get their nails looking nice and round and beautiful. I don't use these because I don't like the way that feels. Like it just it gives me kind of a bad feeling to have something rubbing on my nails like this. But I don't have. Actually, you can kind of see. This isn't really a hangnail here, but right there. Nah, you can't see that very well. I'll just draw a picture of it for you. So this is imagine this is my finger here. Sometimes people will have a little, like an extra kind of little nail or piece of skin, something like that. This is called a hangnail. Hangnail. H-A-N-G. A hangnail. A hangnail. So this can be quite painful if you pull it out, or if it's hard to cut. But that's a hangnail. A hangnail. So a little bit of I get those sometimes, and they are a pain to deal with. I have like a little small thing over here. It's not a hangnail, just the nail is a little bit cracked, I think. So I need to trim that up, but I will clean that up when I cut my nails. All right, let's see here. And Dino says, so what does it mean when somebody call another person a knucklehead? So knucklehead means like a kind of not smart person, or maybe they do stupid things, and like you might think about like hitting them with your knuckles like that. I don't know the origin of knucklehead, but that's a kind of thing when we're referring to that. When you're learning new vocabulary in this way, you might not know why do they say knuckle and head in the same sentence? Try not to think about it logically. The first and most important point is to understand, like I'm saying that person is a knucklehead because they did something stupid, or I think they are not very smart, something like that. So first, just understand we want to connect the situation with the vocabulary, and then we can look deeper into why, like what the origin of something like that is. But it probably has to do with like, I don't know, you getting hit, something like that. Maybe you got hit too many times, and your parents were angry at you or something like that. But that would be an interesting thing to look up, why people might use the term a knucklehead. Let's see, what caused those calluses of yours? So this is from my exercise parallel bar. Well, it's just a horizontal bar. So if I'm doing pull-ups or something like that, like it just gets scraped on there. So calluses, it's your skin becoming tougher. So usually if you see people exercising, you will see calluses, something like that. Yes, so you can help someone stand up. Some people only have one line in their hands. Yes, I don't know, I'm not a palm reader, so I can't really say for sure why some people might have one line or two lines or whatever, but each person's lines are unique. And this is why we can have a hand print, or a thumb print, or a fingerprint where we put something down. I was teaching my kids about that the other day, so recently, about how each person's fingers are unique. So they look similar, but all these little fingers over here, the little lines on your fingers, each person has a slightly different design. So you can have a unique thumbprint or fingerprint for your phone, something like that. Let's see, a closed hand is a fist. Yes, that's correct. So I close my fingers like this, the four fingers come together, and we get a fist, a fist. Now let me know while I'm reading these if you can think of any phrases you've heard where people are talking about hands or using hands in some way. Let's see. But there are a lot of phrasal verbs that use hands, like we could talk about handing things out. So if I hand things out, that means to distribute things. So I could give things if I'm the teacher in the class and I'm handing out papers to different students. So I'm handing something out, but a handout as one word like this without a space here, so just handout as one word, that can mean like giving some kind of charity or something like that to people who need help. So if I'm giving a handout to people, then I'm helping them in some way, to give a handout. And let's see as I go through these over here. And Bridget says, hello, Teacher Drew. Andres says, Guatemalan guy here says, what's the basic grammar to be fluent? As this video is showing, the point is not to have, like, it's not like you need a particular grammar to get fluent. Fluency just means you can use any grammar without thinking about it, but you get fluent in particular things. So right now, we're just talking about my hand, or your hand, or hands in general, and I can help you get more fluent and feel more confident talking about the different parts of your hand, or the way we might move our hand, or understanding other expressions coming from that. But maybe you have another, like some question about your foot or something. So you could be fluent in talking about a hand, but not fluent in talking about a foot. All right, so some of the vocabulary will be similar, but some things will be unique, just talking about my hand rather than talking about my foot. But I gave an example, like here's the heel of my hand, and I have the heel of my foot. That's the kind of rounded, if I have my foot is like this, here are my toes, this is the heel over here. So just like I have the heel of my hand, I have the heel of my foot. All right, so some things are going to be similar, but fluency, again, comes from focusing on something and getting varied review. So I'm not trying to tell you just one or two phrases and then repeating those. I'm trying to kind of weave these different things together and let you hear that in different ways. All right. Let's see here. So English at night, how can we find the timing when we start speaking practice? Well, I don't find time for practicing speaking. I just get lots of examples of Japanese whenever I want, really. So whenever I have free time, or if I'm watching TV or reading something, that's when I'm actually practicing. So right now, the point of me giving you these different expressions and reviewing them in different ways is that I can help you build your understanding, and your understanding lets you speak. Okay? So the point is not to find lots of people to practice repeating things with. It's just to spend a lot of time understanding the language better. So for me, in my life, even living in Japan with lots of Japanese people, I don't spend much time speaking. I actually spend most of my time, doing work or reading or listening or whatever. But when I do speak, then I can speak fluently because I've had lots of my doubts ended or destroyed or erased. So I want to make sure that's clear for people. And again, the point of this video is just to show you if you can feel more confident talking about hands and understanding different things, even about one particular topic, then you will feel more confident talking about a hand, in this case, or using expressions for that. But then you can also use that for talking about other things. So just like we're talking about a handout for talking about charity, or if we're talking about a hand up, that's another kind of expression people use, like to give someone a hand up. So a hand up. So when people talk about charity, you could give someone a handout. That just means, hey, I'm going to give you some money or something, and now you go do it. But to give someone a hand up is to kind of pull them up and actually teach them something or really help them in some meaningful way. So not just to give them something, but to actually teach them or change their life in some way, okay? To give someone a hand up. So not just a hand out, but a hand up. And you will hear this when people are talking about charity a lot. So yes, don't worry about finding people to practice speaking with. The practice actually comes as you get lots of examples. So if you're watching this and you feel more confident, you understand these parts of the hand or expressions about the hand, then you should feel more confident saying those things in a conversation. All right, so for an animal, the nail is called A claw. So actually, that's a different spelling. So a claw. So a claw is, yes, like the hands of an animal. Claws. This is something different. This is like a part of a sentence, a clause, or we're talking about like a legal contract. It's just more of like a particular wording, a group of words, a clause. So they sound the same, or if we have clause like this, but it's two different words with two different meanings. All right. This is called a homonym. A homonym is a word that sounds exactly like another word, even if they have different meanings. A homonym. Let's see. Okay, I think I got that one over there. Trying to go through these quickly. Greetings from Yosemite, says hiker fan. Lewis, I could use a little hand. Is there an expression usually? Yes. So I could use a little hand, or I could just say I could use a hand. I could use a hand. So people will say I could use a little hand, or I could use a little help. You can say that as well. So I could use a hand. Could someone give me a hand? All right, so Jose says, I don't know, but I can hear you. Uh-oh. Can I say clip my nails? Yep, that's another excellent way to put it. So clip, we talk about clipping your nails. Clip is typically this kind of motion here, where you're cutting something like this to clip something, rather than like a scissors action like that. So it's similar, but if you notice the scissors, when we cut it, it's like kind of a slice like this. It doesn't all come down at the same time. Like this part of the scissors in the middle will cut first, and then it kind of rolls down like that. So that's more of a slicing scissor cut, rather than a clip, which usually comes down clink, clink like that at the same time. So a trimmer or a nail clipper, this is usually that same kind of thing. People don't usually use a scissors to cut their nails, but we do talk about cutting or trimming our nails in the same way. All right, so very good. That's a great expression there. So to clip your nails or trim your nails, or some people even bite. They bite their nails. That's a bad habit. You don't want to do that. Don't bite your nails. Don't bite your nails. All right, but yes, very good. And so this is another great example of what I call naturally varied review. So if you learn only one way to say this, like cut your nails, then maybe a native speaker in a real conversation will say something different. So if you say, oh, like where are the nail scissors? And maybe someone doesn't, they're a nail scissors. Oh, you mean a nail clippers. And so maybe they think about that. So sometimes they will be expecting a different way, or they will say something that is unexpected for you. And that's one of the real challenges with conversations, is that it's hard to prepare for them because you don't often know what people are going to say. So that's why I like to give you a variety of different ways to express things. All right, let's see. Jack Lee says, hello, I always watch your videos. They are awesome. I have learned English many years, but speaks a little. How can I become fluent? So you would say, how can I become fluent rather than fluently? Fluently talks about an action, so how we would do something, like speak fluently. So to answer your question, Jack, the answer is we just need to get lots of varied review that helps us destroy any doubts we have about speaking. So we don't want to just learn a lot of random vocabulary or even just listen to a lot of English. We want to focus, just like today, I'm just focusing on my hand. Maybe if you guys like this, I can do another video about something else. And I'm always trying to do new things to help people understand, but the basic idea is to eliminate any doubt you have about speaking. So if I think, okay, like what is the name of this thing here? If you know this is a callus, then you will feel more confident saying it. You will understand when people are using it. That's when we have to, like now we understand something. We feel quite confident about using it, and that's when we start speaking. So the fluency comes as you understand the language better, not as you try to learn more. It's great if you can know many words, but that won't help you if you can't use them fluently. So remember to spend more time actually getting your questions answered, just like we're doing in this video. All right, let's see here, but good question. Let's see, and exposing Zionist crimes. So what is the fastest way to become fluent in English? So just like I'm showing in this video, you become fluent by focusing on things. So we're only talking about my hand, but I can use this to talk about many other things, just like I've talked about some charity or distributing papers or something like that. I could have I could be hands off, where maybe I'm talking about like teaching my children to do something. And this is a really interesting way to think about touching something or not touching something. So I could be hands on. So hands on means you're actually touching things or you're exposed to it by touching it. Like maybe I'm right there. Like right now, this is a very hands-on lesson. You're not just doing this by yourself. I'm here actually showing you things and helping you understand them, being very hands-on. But I could also be hands off. So hands off means now I'm going to not touch so much or not maybe explain things or let you try to do things very well. Okay, so maybe my children are trying to learn how to do something. I could be very hands-on and tell them how to do it, explain that to them, work with them, or I could be hands-off. All right, to be hands-off. Sometimes you might hear someone even like if they get touched accidentally, it's like, whoa, hands off, hands off. Get your hands off me, get your hands off me. Hands off, hands off. And notice how my pronunciation here, it sounds more like that. Hands, if I'm talking about 2 hands, 3 hands. So I'm not saying hand, like hand, z. Let me write that better. Hands, hands. So this D, it basically disappears. A hands, hands. So hands, my hands, hands off, hands on, hands off. Okay, so lots of interesting things we can learn just by focusing on one thing and reviewing it in different ways. I don't want to just say hand, 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 hand. And so as you're hearing these different examples, you should be feeling more, oh, okay, now I get it. These are good examples. I understand. And if you don't understand, let me know. I'm here to answer your questions. But hopefully this works. I really want to prove to people that you become fluent by focusing on something and really understanding it well. And that it doesn't mean you will slow down with your learning. You will actually become fluent faster because now you can use things that you understand about hands to understand other things. All right, let's see if we have some more questions over here. Oh, I have heard about files instead of emery boards. Yes. So Daniel, that's another way. Again, we will hear like a nail file, or you could hear an emery board. That's another way to say it. It's the same kind of thing. It's almost like sandpaper as well, to file your nails. So that's the verb we use when we're talking about not trimming the nails, but just polishing them or trying to make them smooth. That's a nail file, to file something down. To file your nails, file your nails. All right. Let's see else what we got here. Lots of good questions here. Thank you very much. This is great. See, but you notice like this is how it works. As you understand things better and answer your questions, you will feel more confident about speaking. All right, Jose said, I didn't have my Bluetooth connected. I see. And Leonardo is back with knowledge, the best teacher. That's right. Knowledge. Hangnail in Spanish is padastro. That's an interesting word, padastro. Yes, and Dina says hands-on. Dina's got it over there. An example I hear a lot is, let me handle it. Yes, so to handle something, if you think about, like if I have a bag or something, even this little eraser has a handle. So it just means the place where you put your hand, a handle. So we can have a physical handle like this, and then we can also talk about handling something, like let me do it. I will take responsibility for that thing. So let me handle this problem. I can do it. I can handle that thing. All right. So if someone asks you to do something, or you are telling someone or asking someone else, hey, can you handle this problem? All right. Can you handle something for me, or can we handle that thing together? To handle something. Handling also can mean just kind of touching something in a way like this. Like right now, I'm handling this marker. To handle something like that. All right, aren't these handy expressions? Very useful, right? Very handy. Huh? So I'm handling this marker, just moving it around. I'm handling my water bottle, kind of moving it around in my hands like this. to handle something, to handle it. All right. As we continue to move over here. All right, let's see. Ooh, some other good ones. Look at everybody. You guys got some great expressions in here. An example I hear a lot. Okay, got handle it. Andres says got it. Abdul says, what's the meaning of getting the upper hand? The upper hand. Yes, now this is another good expression as well, to get the upper hand. Usually when we have the upper hand on someone else, we're able to control them or stop them. I was actually just playing this game with my younger daughter, Noelle, yesterday. So she puts her hand down and I put my hand on hers and I say, oh, I have the upper hand now, but she puts her hand back on top of mine and then I put my hand on hers. So upper hand in this way, usually if you have the upper hand to be on top of something, you're able to control it better. So you have some advantage or something that helps you better than someone else. So when you have the upper hand, maybe before you had a disadvantage, but now it's a good thing. So some other situation, again, like this is a physical idea of having one hand on top of another, to have the upper hand, the upper hand, the upper hand. So you could have like the opposite kind of thing you'll hear. This is another interesting expression, is to be underhanded, underhanded. Now, underhanded, if you think about kind of going under something like that, an underhanded thing is usually a tricky thing. You're trying to do something, it could even be a little bit bad. So if I say I'm going to challenge someone to a knife fight, so he and I, or even we're going to fight with brass knuckles, like I showed you at the beginning of that. So it's just going to be a boxing fight with brass knuckles, but I've got like a knife or I have a gun with me in case I'm losing. Oh no, he's got the upper hand, but now I'm going to do something underhanded and shoot him with the gun. So I'm doing something tricky or against the rules to be underhanded, underhanded. Yes, backhand is like when we're trying to hit the ball that way. I talked about like when you hit someone with the back of your hand, like a child feels the back of your hand. You can backhand someone, or usually when we hit someone with a forehand, so these are the expressions in playing tennis. I hit the ball, this is a backhand shot and a forehand shot, backhand and forehand. We usually just call a forehand a slap. So if you slap someone or slap someone, we can call this backhanding them or slapping them with the back of your hand. But isn't that interesting? As you hear all these different things, that your mind is like, ooh, it's just trying to process all this information, but it helps you understand it better. All right, so we got that. And Lord says, I know you like... Let's see, I know the back of my hand. I hear people using this phrase a lot. Yes, so to know someone like the back of my hand, like we don't usually say I know someone like I know the back of my hand because people know the expression. So we just say I know something like the back of my hand. So usually you probably see your hands a lot. And this is why when we talk about knowing something very well, it's like, oh, like I can look at my hand. It's almost like a map, kind of. You know, it's a flat thing. I can look at it. So just like I can know, you know, some area, just like I know the back of my hand. So you could talk about this with anything. I mean, it would make sense to talk about the front of your hand as well, or really anything else you might see, like, I don't know, like I know him like the back of my hand, or I know someone else like the back of my hand, but it just means you know something very well. Like the back of my hand, the back of my hand. And let's see, Lewis says hands down, other expressions sometimes easy to do or understand. Yeah, so you can talk about hands down. Hands down typically means like this is like the best thing. So we refer like this is hands down the best restaurant I've ever been to. It's like this is like no question about it. I'm very certain about this thing. Hands down, this is the best. Hands down. So put your hands up when you hear the police. Like, oh no, put your hands up in the air. Hands up, hands up. Keep your hands where I can see them. Put your hands up, put your hands up. All right, very good. Lots of good expressions over here. Everybody knowing them and using them very well. Hiker Fan says, let's hit that like button on your phone and show support for our amazing teacher. Well, I appreciate that. Well, and Bridget says, handcuffs. and to get handcuffed. Yes. So if you have like, it's kind of like a bracelet around your fingers or around your wrists here, your wrists, and you can put your hands together to get them cuffed together. So that's what handcuffs are for. So handcuffs let you stick your hands together. So when the police say, oh, put your hands up or put your hands behind your back, it's kind of hard to see them, but you can imagine me putting my hands behind my back and the police officer puts handcuffs on me. All right, so put your hands behind your back. And Butcher says, you're right, getting exposed to a lot of input is better than jabbering all the time in matter of learning languages in particular. Yes, and so notice I'm trying to be very focused about this. I don't want to just like give you lots of comprehensible input. So comprehensible input means you understand something. It's usually teaching you something where you're not using a different language. So right now I'm helping you understand English in English. You could call this comprehensible input. So it's just information you can understand in the language you're learning, not with using translations. But the important thing here is that I'm focusing on something and trying to help your brain understand, okay, your brain will think, okay, what do I call this in English? Or how do I say this? Or what do I call this action? Or what do I call this other thing? Your brain is trying to figure these questions out. So if you get lots of examples of them, then your brain will think, oh, that's what you say in this situation. Okay, so you don't have to think about it through your native language. You just understand it in English, the same way a native would. All right, working well, though. I'm feeling good. All right, let's see here. And bite, yeah, we got the spelling for that. English tonight. Is immersion effective? Immersion is effective. It's again another way of talking about comprehensible input, but a lot of immersion is not comprehensible, or you could say it's like incomprehensible. But if I go to Russia right now, for example, let's say I want to learn Russian. I go to Russia and I just start listening to people speaking to me in Russian. Do you think I'm going to learn Russian? Probably not. And the reason I'm not going to learn Russian by just people speaking to me is, oh, I don't understand what they're saying. All right, so that's the main reason. So what people usually do is they go to a Russian lesson and they learn Russian through their native language. So the Russian will maybe know some English, or you have some way to translate that. So people would typically say, oh, like I don't know Russian, so I need an English lesson to do that. But an actual good Russian teacher will be able to teach me things in Russian that I can understand. So they'll start very basic, very simple, but making sure I understand something. So immersion is not really the key to fluency. It's like if I want a drink of water and then people just like give me all this water and spray my face all at the same time. No, just give me one cup of water that's easy to drink. Okay, so if you give someone too much information, their brain can't process that because they can't understand what's happening. So immersion is a good idea, but you need to focus that, so that's what we're doing here. So just focusing on my hand, talking about different parts of the hand, related parts of the hand, or we're talking about how maybe we use different expressions or movements that relate to the hand. As you're listening to me, I'm giving you that immersion, that native input, but it's focused so that you can understand it. Okay, so I'm making sure you understand it, and still we should be getting lots of other people talking about these things as well. So if you go watch, people doing things with their hands, or making things, or playing something like playing the piano, you will talk about people fingering the piano, or tapping on the piano keys, things like that. So that's what's really going to get you fluent. It's not just like being immersed in the language, because it's not really difficult to, or it's not very easy to understand what people are saying. And if you don't understand, that's when you start using translations. So you really want to make sure you're focused and understanding exactly what people are saying to you. Let's see. And Analytics says, hello, dear teacher. Thank you for your effort and knowledge that you offer us. It's my pleasure. Lace is the same nail. Lace is the same nail. I don't know what that means, but no, like we wouldn't call this lace. Not that I know of. I don't know a term for that. Suzette says, hello. Ankon says, how can I learn many advanced vocabularies? Well, you just pick something and focus on it. So even looking at the hand, I could get very, very specific. So we could talk about more scientific things like the cuticle. So the cuticle is this part of my nail up here, the top of it here, the cuticle edge. Or we could talk about like the peeling skin, or we could talk about like the angle of the nail, or I could talk about my veins and other little things like there. If you see here, if you look at this, I think there's like a little bit of black kind of right there. It might be hard to see, kind of bluish. I think this is maybe some pencil lead from many years ago that's stuck in my hand. Some kids have this, like, I think that's pencil lead. Yeah, it's from like a long time ago or something. Maybe I'm dying slowly because I have some, like a little piece of pencil in there. But if you see the little blue lines here, those are my veins. We could get more specific and learn more advanced vocabulary. Or yes, even like talking about like looking at like the tendons. So this is a tendon right here that allows me to pull my hand. This is a tendon. Yes, so maybe a piece of a pencil, like like a tip of the pencil. I don't know if that's actually true or not. I don't really feel anything there, but you could have that. Or if I look here on the top of my hand, this is a little bit hard to see. So on the back of my hand here, I have a scar, a little scar from where I burned myself with a tool. I was using a saw, and it's a saw that moves very quickly, and I touched the top of my hand after the saw was very hot, and then I burned my hand. So there's a little burn scar. It's a little hard to see right there. Yes, a saw. So I was using a electric saw that cut my hand like that. All right, very good though. Look at everybody here. All right, let's see. So again, like the question about advanced vocabulary, you have to ask yourself, why do you want to learn advanced vocabulary? Is your goal just to learn more words, or do you want to speak? The purpose of this video is really for people who want to speak. So you can also learn advanced vocabulary, but if you can't say that, then why are you learning it? So remember, just focus on things. That's what's going to get you fluent. That's what we're doing in this video. Ronex says, let's see here. I'm from India. I like your videos of teaching English using practical examples. Is writing also important to become fluent? Yep, so writing is also good for helping you slow down the language. So if you're writing something with pencil and paper, that's really good for helping you understand sentences and trying to make your own sentences as well. So really, remember that the goal of fluency is to understand the language well. That's what unlocks your ability to speak. If you have doubts about something, you won't be able to say it. So we want to make sure we end any doubts. And let's see, how to memorize vocabulary. It's the same idea. We want to make good connections with the vocabulary. Fluent for Life members and some people who get the Native Fluency Blueprint have our memory training as well. All right, Abdo says, when someone closes the door on your finger and after slip him by pain, you see your finger, watch something thing, black nails on, what is the blood? That name, please. Oh, it's just blood coming out of your, like, some people might call that bile, but it's usually just a kind of blood coming out of your finger. And that could be from anything. It's not just getting your finger pinched in a door, something like that. But it's a typical expression for that. Now, why is this not? I think we should be working here. It looks like we're going to have to close the video down because I'm running low on battery, but I'm going to try to get through all these questions. Access says, you nailed it. Yes, so that's using an expression like ding, you nailed it. And that's typically like this kind of nail, where you're putting a nail into a hammer or into some wood like that. You hit it perfectly. Oh, you nailed it. Very good. You nailed something. All right, let me get through these quickly before I lose all of my battery juice. My juice over here. All right, how to learn vocabulary. So answer that as well. Jack Lee says, thanks so much. It is amazing the way you teaching English. Yes, so you would say amazing the way you are teaching English. So remember, the more English examples you get, and not just from me, but from a variety of people, especially natives, this is why we teach this way in Fluent for Life, because we really want to give you exposure to lots of different natives using the same thing. The more of this focus you get, the faster you get fluent. And the process really accelerates. You start getting fluent much faster as you understand that. Andres says, this is the best way. And we have, let's see, this is pretty smart. Thank you. Glad to hear it. And we got lots of flags over there. Good morning, sir. Daniel says, homonym sounds almost like God in Korea. Hanyamo. That's interesting. Yeah, so homo means same. That's where we get that from. Also, I hear handy person in handy. Yes, so someone can be handy, like a person can be very handy, an animal can be handy. This marker is very handy. I can use it to write with. I can scratch my head with it. I could, I don't know, rub my chin or something. There are many things I can do, so it just means something is useful. Just like your hands can also be very handy to help you do different things. Benny says the meaning of at hand. Yep, that's another thing. So at hand, if you can imagine what something is like, since I'm pretty close to the camera over here, I will just draw a picture. So if you imagine this is a person, it kind of looks like a starfish, I guess. But so these are your hands over here. Anything within this range around you that you can touch easily is at hand. So if something is far away, like over here or off the screen, I can't reach it easily, that's not at hand. But something that's in here, if I have a little ball here or a table or something else or a tool, here's a, I don't know, some like a hammer, whatever. I'm not going to draw that very well. I'm trying to draw these quickly. But anything around you that you can use very quickly is at hand. So this ball is at hand, or this table is at hand, or something like that. So these are physical things, but a non-physical thing can also be at hand, like the problem at hand. So it just means what thing is affecting us right now, like around in this general area, what is at hand right now. So if we are having a meeting for work and we're talking about like some other problems, it's maybe not a problem right now, but the real problem at hand, the real thing we need to focus on, the most important thing that's affecting us now, that's right around us, we talk about that being the problem at hand or the issue at hand. All right, so something around me, something happening right now. So often we get a physical thing like a hand, so it becomes close by. So anything close by you, like this eraser is at hand because I can grab it easily. If it's too far away, oh no, where did the eraser go? But oh look, now the eraser is at hand. Or this marker, it's just sitting here, it's right at hand. My bottle is at hand also. I can grab it if I need to. But if something is far away, then it's more difficult. I have to move or do something to reach that. All right, so at hand. So yes, it's easy to grab or easy to touch, but remember, these are also things like it's affecting us now. This is the important thing. It's what's happening right now. So the problem at hand, the lesson at hand. So this is the lesson at hand, not some other thing in the future or a different thing like that. All right, so at hand. All right, let's see. We can get a few last questions over here. Let's see. I'm going to have to be very quickly answering these over here. All right, Dave says, hands down, you are the best teacher. Well, that's very kind of you. If you would, please click the like button and share the video. So backhand, we got that. Underhanded in Spanish is el es bajo la manga. As of cards game. Oh, that's interesting, huh? And good morning, everyone. Says Tom Teo Aguero. Let's yes, put your Aguero. Put your hands up. Lewis says in Portuguese we say I know it like the palm of my hand. In English, like the back of my hand. Yeah. So it's the same idea. Just like I think probably the palm makes more sense. I probably see my palms more than I see the back of my hand. I would guess, but I don't know. That would be an interesting experiment. Diana says, underhand. Could you give us another example, please? Like an underhanded thing that I do. Like let's say I am trying to collect money for charity, but I steal the money. That's a very underhanded thing to do. Or if it's any time I'm trying to trick people or try to get people to do things, and I'm I'm like deceiving people in some way, or I'm taking an unfair advantage. That's doing something in an underhanded way. And Viet says, hi, Tom Hanks. Yes, I think people probably mean Forrest Gump, maybe specifically. Abdo says, what is the name of come to hand? Or what is the meaning of it? Oh, it just meaning like here, like now it's like coming to hand or something that's coming to me now. All right, hand over. Yeah, to hand over something means to give something to someone else, to give it to someone else, to hand over. All right, thanks, but actually I wrote Hanks. Let's see, yes, fingering, so we could talk about that, like playing an instrument. So if you have a horn, we talk about fingering that, or fingering the piano, using your fingers in that way. Sylvia says, hi, Drew, can you help me a bit with pronunciation about caught, emerge? Let's see, I live in Chicago. Is that emerge is used there? I know you were born in Chicago. What do you mean, emerge? The caught, emerge? I live in Chicago. Is this emerge is used in here? I don't know what you mean. Let me know. Let's see, the tendons. Let's see. A piece of, yeah, okay. Dan says, I like to watch medical stuff. It's nice to amplify the vocabulary words list. Yeah. So again, the more varied review you can get. So if you watch something else after this that's talking about hands, that will help you learn it even better. So it says, can I use as if and as though interchangeable? Example, the child talks as if he were a man. Yeah, you can, in that situation, yes, you can use both of those. George says, hi, teacher, thanks for joining me. Or yeah, you could say letting me join your class. Yana says, I am from India. I have one question for you. I have lots of vocabulary in my mind, but while I talk with someone, I'm not able to use it. Why this problem happens? I'm actually working on a new guide right now. I shared some of that with some subscribers yesterday, or some members yesterday. Just a few people just get some feedback on that, but it will explain all of this. You should watch some of my most of my videos are talking about those kinds of problems. But the reason often people, they know a lot of vocabulary is because they just don't know that vocabulary very well. That's the real issue. All right, greetings from Havana at hand. You can easily grab it. Let's see. I meant thanks for inviting me to your class. Very good. And Said says, I just joined. Can you tell me what the topic is today? The topic is helping you understand vocabulary for hands and developing fluency by focusing on a particular topic. Let me know, would you like more of these kind of lessons where I'm just focusing on something and helping you get fluent in the vocabulary? Let me know before I get cut off. I'm going to have to shut the video down shortly here. All right, when you begin the study, well, we've been doing it. Love to hear you talk. Thanks so much, says Milton. It's my pleasure. Elder says, hey there, Drew. Nice to hear you this morning. And I'm a Pedro. Hello, teacher. I'm studying with movies and TV shows, and I would study the whole episode at once or episode down in small parts. Yes, I would definitely focus on particular parts of the episode and then make sure you have no doubt about what people are saying. So you would need to listen to people, get explanations if you need them, but also hear other people outside of the TV show using that same vocabulary. Remember, it's the review that gets you fluent rather than just trying to learn as much as possible. So lots of people can read novels or watch TV shows, but understanding the language is a different skill than actually using like the particular language fluently. Teacher, do you give people diploma? No. Suzette, we don't do that because the diploma really wouldn't help you. I mean, it might, I don't know, maybe kind of prove you can speak a little bit, but the better thing is just demonstrating you can speak. All right, so I don't have like a diploma for being able to do YouTube or whatever, but if I can demonstrate I can help people, then I can get them fluent. But that will be the end of this video. If you'd like to learn more of this and you'd like to see more of these, comment down in the video below. Let me know what you'd like to see more about, or if you have particular things you'd like to know, or you want to speak about certain vocabulary, and we can talk about that. Have a fantastic day. You can click on the links in the video or description below this video. If you'd like to learn more about Fluent for Life, where we actually walk you through these kinds of things and help you understand lots more than just your hand or something, but help you understand about all kinds of topics, excuse me, so you speak fluently. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.